In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you a requested tutorial on how to achieve this double-breasted corset cup. And in this video, I'll be sharing with you two methods on how to achieve this for your corset. So for this pattern, we are working mostly for the upper part, and I've gone ahead to mark the shoulder to bust, waist, and shoulder to waistline of this pattern. So I'll go ahead to mark my shoulder divided by 2. My shoulder is 14 divided by 2. I'll mark. I'll come down by 1 inch from this point and then go ahead to mark a basic neckline of 3 inches. From there, I'll be connecting this to the shoulder slant at the other side of my shoulder, from the neckline to the shoulder slant. So the next step is to find my chest line, which is the bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead to place my ruler and draw a straight line at that point. After marking this, I'm going to go ahead to mark my shoulder divided by 2, just like we have at the upper part of this pattern. Now I'll go ahead and connect this all the way to the upper part of the shoulder. After marking this now, I'll go ahead to divide what I have here into 2 equal parts, come out by ½ inch. Here I'll go ahead to mark my bust circumference divided by 4, and I'll connect from here all the way up and then connect it to the lower part of this pattern. After I'm done marking on this point, the next step I'm going to take is to mark my dart. I'll go ahead to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2. So whatever you have on your nipple to nipple, divide it by 2, mark and draw a straight line and connect. After marking, I'll go ahead to just mark out my basic measurement of 3 inches, 3 by 3 inches. I'll be using this to serve as a guide for this pattern. So after marking that, I'm just going to go ahead to connect. So I'll go ahead and divide the rest of my shoulder into 2 equal parts this way, and I'll mark the midpoint. From there, I'm going to place my ruler and I'm going to connect this all the way to the bust of this pattern. I'll start marking my dart. For my dart, I'm going to mark 1 inch on both sides. So if you're plus size, you're going to use 1.5 inches on both sides. Go ahead to mark and I'll connect. Now connect from the bust to the under bust and also connect at the other side of your pattern. Now after I'm done connecting on this side, so next you're going to determine where you want your cup to start, whether 2 inches, 1.5, or you can measure all the way from the shoulder. Now I'm using 1.5 inches at this point. The next step I'm going to take is to go ahead to mark my dart. I'll be marking 1 inch dart intake. If you're plus size, please go ahead to use 1.5, or you're on the busty side, use 1.5, and I'll go ahead to connect. Next step is to insert my measurement. I'm going to mark my bust circumference divided by 4 at the bust, and I'll mark. Then for the dart, you can replace this, but I don't want to have an excess on the side for the allowance. I'll just use what I have above the chest line or towards the chest line and then add my sewing allowance. Here I'll mark my under bust circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and I'll add a sewing allowance. Here I'll mark my waist circumference divided by 4, and I'll go ahead to measure the dart intake I have here, replace, and then add my sewing allowance. So after this, I'm just going to go ahead to place my ruler, connect from the bust to the under bust and down to the waistline of my pattern. Now I'll mark my bust dart, and to get your bust dart is the difference between your shoulder to waist in front and your shoulder to waist at the back. My shoulder to waist in front is 17, while my shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5, giving me a difference of 1.5 inches, because if you subtract 15.5 from 17, you have 1.5. From the center, determine where you want that design to be, on the chest line, above or underneath. So after that, mark ½ inch towards the bust. It will serve as a guide to your pattern. Then place your curve through, connect from that point all the way down to the under bust this way, and I will connect, right? So after I'm done connecting, the next step I'll take is to go ahead to connect my cup towards the upper part this way. Whatever shape you want your cup to take, go ahead to mark it at this point. So after I'm done marking out this side, is to work on the other side. Here I'll mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2 and add half. So if you're plus size, please go ahead to add 1 inch to accommodate your bust. Now I'll just go ahead to cut this out. After cutting out, I'll go ahead to blend out the dart intake at this side, right, before I go ahead to draw my cup on this side. Now I'll now place back that my nipple to nipple divided by 2 and add half to it because my bust is on the smaller size. Now I'll now place my curve drill and I'll connect this all the way down, and I'll be extending this to the upper part. I'll also connect from here all the way going down. Now for that design, there are 2 ways to achieve it. Just like I said, it's either you draft it, or after you're done making your dress, you can now go ahead to do that. Now I'll just go ahead to connect to draw out that curve on this pattern. So I'll be sharing 2 methods, whichever one that is okay for you, go ahead to do that. So I'm just drawing out the curve I need from the already existing pattern, and from the neckline I'll just connect it down. So after doing this, I'll just go ahead to cut out this pattern. So remember to add an extension all the way going up because it will extend to the back. So depending on how long you want the extension towards the back, because it will be serving like an alternate towards the back part of the dress. So you can add an extension of 4 to 5 inches to the neckline to extend to the back. Now I'll go ahead to cut this out, right? And after cutting this, you can decide to blend or cut out your dart. And I'll also go ahead to cut out the upper part of this cup. Right now I'll be tracing this out. I'll be doing this first method, and then I'll be using a video to explain the second method. So I'll go ahead to trace out what I have on this pattern first. After tracing this out, one will be the main cup while the other one will be the attachment or the double cup effect on it. So I'm using my tracing wheel to trace this out, right? So after tracing it out, I'll just go ahead to mark it. So you might not be able to see the effect of the tracing wheel. And after tracing this out, what I'll do is to add an extension to the upper part, which will be going all the way to the back of this pattern. Now I'll go ahead to cut this out. After cutting it out, we'll now have a separate cup which will be on top of the initial cup of the main corset. I'll go ahead to blend out the dart this way, right? Go ahead to blend out the dart of the cup, and I'll add like a pattern paper underneath it so that I will blend out this part that has like a curve so that it will meet properly at that side. And I'll now go ahead to cut this out, right? So this is what you'll be having. Now I'll blend out this side so that I'll achieve the effect I have. So now you go ahead to make that part separate and then join your cup separate. After you're done joining and attaching it to the main bodies of your corset, that is the original cup of this corset. That is, you join your cup to the bodies of the corset, then you now place this part on it and attach it. Now, if you don't want to go through all this process of cutting an additional cup on it, or it's going to be difficult for you, all you have to do is cut out your normal cupped corset, attach it to the bodies. Now for this upper part, I'll be using a video to explain. So for instance, let's use this video. This is actually from Synthetic Fit, so I'm using it to explain this particular video. So go ahead to cut and sew your corset. After that, place it on your mannequin. So what you're going to do is use a pattern paper, place underneath the cup just like you have in this video. You're going to trace out the cup design going all the way to the upper part where you want it to be on your actual corset. So after doing that, you're now going to take that pattern paper and use it to draft out the additional cupped pattern you'll be having on your dress. After sewing, that is after cutting and sewing, you will place it and tack it back towards your cup area and then extend to the back of the corset. So for the back, I've marked out all the measurements, the chest line, shoulder to bust and waist. So now I'll go ahead to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2, and I'll go ahead to mark. So after I'm done marking, I'll go ahead to insert my dart to this pattern. So for the shoulder and the chest line, we got it the same way we drafted the front. So I'll just mark ½ inch on both sides and come down by 1 inch here, and I'll go ahead to connect this at this side and also connect at the other side of the pattern. So here I'll mark the bust circumference divided by 4 and add a sewing allowance. Here I'll mark the waist circumference divided by 4, then measure the dart intake, replace, and also add a sewing allowance. For the upper part, I added the sewing allowance together. So here I'll mark 2 inches depending on how open you want it to be at the back, and I'll go ahead to connect this up. So after I'm done connecting, I'll just make a mark to indicate that I have like a lacing there, and come down by ½ inch here, and I will connect. So after I'm done connecting, I'm just going to go ahead to cut this out, right? So after cutting this out, I'm done with the pattern drafting. So if you have any question, please go ahead to ask. You can cut this out or blend it out.